Alright, so there goes our second HARM missile. And we are going to switch over to our JDAMs and our targeting pod. Try to make a bombing run here. And let's see here. Oh, and our HARM hit, and oh my god, we've killed half of an army with one HARM missile. Alright guys, welcome back to some DCS. As you can see, we're rearming alongside some other F-16 pilots who are about to be taken off from this air base here. And we are fully rearmed. So let's gonna go ahead and get prepped here. We're going to turn on both of our hard points for our targeting pod and our HARM targeting pod. We're going to turn on our countermeasures to our preferred setting as well as our RWR. These guys are no doubt doing some different things than what we're doing, and that's okay. So we've got our master arm on. I think it's actually against protocol to have your master arm on when you are on the ground, but we're going to do it because as realistic as DCS is, it is a video game. So we're going to have some fun with it, even though a lot of people might not like that. So what I'm doing is I'm setting up our air-to-ground settings and then switching over to air-to-air settings. I'm going to switch this to TWS. I prefer TWS. I like to be able to see 80 miles ahead of me and use a narrower spectrum on the radar. So we got all that set up. So now that that is set up, we will go ahead. I think this other guy might be waiting on us at the airstrip here. So we'll go ahead and taxi over. Really enjoy the F-16. I started my DCS time with an F-18. The F-18 proved to be a little bit of a struggle for me in the air-to-air department. It's a harder jet to be lethal in air-to-air situations, but particularly BVR, beyond visual range situations, which is what I was doing mostly at that time. Doing a lot of BVR with the guys that I fly with. And we are very crooked on this runway, and this guy is going to take off, so we're going to join him. Try not to kill us both here. A little bit of a crosswind, so we're dealing with some push to our right, trying to counter that with some rudder inputs. And we are going to lift off. Looks like he's going to wait till he gets up to a higher speed before liftoff. I'm going to rotate right a little bit to get out of his way in case he comes up underneath us. So we've got 2 HARM missiles, 4 JDAMs, and 4 AIM 120s. So we are armed to the teeth. That's one of the great things about the F-16. It is a fantastic multi-role jet. It's able to do multiple things even at the same time. You could say it's the most lethal air-to-air jet in DCS. And it's also one of the most capable air-to-ground aircraft in DCS. So it is a very balanced module. If I had it to do over again, I probably wouldn't have started with the F-18. The F-16 has proven to be much more useful for what I do on a regular basis. So we're going to switch over to our HARM, and to do that we have to switch also to the HAD hard point. So we got the HAD pulled up. I like to always keep the HSD on our right screen so that we can see any air traffic that might be around us, or I don't know if it's normal or not, but I usually stay on full burn at about a 15 to 20 degree climb until I reach about 30,000 feet. So we are in full burn this entire time, just reaching 30,000 feet now, so we're going to level off. Not trying to hit an exact number, just somewhere around 30,000, usually a little over. And then we're going to back off the throttle to conserve fuel, because you can't cruise on burn. You'll be out of fuel in no time. So we're flying on a 4YA server. It is considered a less intensive server compared to many in the DCS multiplayer server realm. There are some really hardcore servers where you can only cold start. External camera views are turned off, so you can't look at your jet from the outside. Can't do this. Can't pull up the map. And they certainly, on those hardcore servers, do not show targets on the map and enemy aircraft on the map. But this being a 4YA server, it's more of a training server. I'm probably too advanced to be needing training like the way you would think of. But I am learning the JDAMs and the targeting pod. I'm really not very good with the targeting pod yet, and just how that works, and being able to effectively take out targets with it. I've only been learning it for about a week. Do have a little bit of experience, got a few kills under my belt, but this is more practice. A 4YA server is a fantastic place to practice such things, because there's a wide variety of enemy types, enemy aircraft. It's not all JF-17s and F-16s, and there's everything from F-4s, F-5s, Mirage 2000s, F-18s, F-16s, MiG, several variations of the MiG. There's a lot of variations of aircraft on these servers, and so you get to kind of practice with all different types of engagements, which is nice. I typically don't fly the F-16 on 4YA servers, because I finally reached a point some time ago where I could take off with 6 AIM 120s and get 6 kills in air-to-air, and go land and get 6 more and come back and get 6 more kills. And that just takes the fun out of it if you're able to just dominate the AI to that extent. And that's So what I typically do is I fly the Mirage 2000. Now the Mirage 2000, against like an F-18 or an F-15 or an F-16 or a JF-17 is at a disadvantage. The Mirage is an older aircraft. It only has 530s and Magics, and the 530s are Fox 1s, so you have to stay hot on your target no matter what if you want your missile to hit. And that's much more challenging. And then if you're taking on an F-18 in a Mirage 2000, you're at a disadvantage missile-wise. You're at a disadvantage in a lot of ways. You see, I'm just kind of looking at all the interiors of the jet here. The level of detail in DCS is something, no matter how much I fly in this sim, no matter how much I play DCS, it still amazes me just how granular everything is. The little scratches and scuffs on the buttons and switches, like everything looks so touched and real and physically affected. And it's, it just adds to the feeling of realism that you get when you're playing DCS, because it's so complex that it truly does, it punishes you. Learning the T-Pod this past week and a half or 2 weeks or however long it's been, countless YouTube videos, and that's a challenge as well, because sometimes the things they show you to do in the YouTube videos turn out to be a little bit different in practice. Certain things they tell you to do have been changed in a more recent update or something like that. So there's a lot of trial and error. My first few nights flying with JDAMs and a T-Pod, I didn't kill anything. And for the most part, I couldn't even find targets, and was highly, highly frustrated. That's one of the things DCS will do to you, is it will frustrate the heck out of you. And it's, it's what makes success so satisfying, is the struggle, the massive struggle that you go through. And I think it's the best simulator in the world. It's definitely the most hardcore simulator there is. There's nothing else with this high of a skill ceiling. Like, people that have flown thousands of hours in the F-16 can do things with an F-16 that I could never dream of. And I've spent a couple hundred hours or more flying the F-16, but I still honestly don't know anything about it. It's just I don't know how to use laser guided bombs yet. I'm very ineffective with what they call dumb bombs, simple bombs, where you just drop and, use a simple targeting system. That's why I decided to learn the T-Pod and learn the JDAMs. Then next I want to learn laser guided bombs instead, because these are GPS guided bombs. So if your target moves, the bomb hits nothing. It goes to where that GPS signature was. So next I want to learn laser guided munitions, and then we'll see where we go from there. But I really am leaning very heavy into the F-16. I've had it for well over a year now, and I don't know how to, up until this week or however long it's been, I haven't known how to use about 85% of what it can do. Haven't even attempted to learn air to ground. Haven't even attempted to learn the T-Pod. I've had my hands full just learning air-to-air. And then I did take a very big break from the F-16 where I focused really heavily on the Mirage 2000. When I got the Mirage 2000, I don't know. I can't really explain what that jet did to me, but I just fell head over heels in love with it. Something about Razbam and the little touches, the little attention to detail, the way they built that thing. You get in it, you turn on the radar, and you can hear the radar thumping left and right as it swivels back and forth. When you take off and you lift off and you retract your landing gear, the whole jet shimmies from the force of the air moving around the landing gear as it retracts. Same thing when you put the landing gear down when you're preparing to land. There's a lot of shake that comes with it from the turbulence. I don't know. Something about the Mirage. I love Fox 1s. I have quite a bit of experience with Sparrows in the F-18 and love those. My typical attacking style anyway is I want to stay hot on the target the entire time. You can see we're almost stalling out right here. We're going so slow, under 180 knots, so I'm throttling up just to get some momentum, and then we'll throttle back down. I've said this many times, but I feel like it needs to be said again. I do fly on an Xbox controller, so I don't have a throttle and stick. I do plan on getting a flight setup eventually, but I'm not in any big rush because flying on a controller is truly very, very viable. The only issues that you have is like right there, you saw me look down and check just to make sure I'm off burner. The click in the F-16 when you come off burner is something that I'm always listening for. I've been partially trained by Tuvas, who is the guy who has everything you need to set up to fly DCS with a controller. He is a friend of mine. His YouTube channel is incredible and very successful, and he's helped me with my YouTube channel to some extent, and we've given each other feedback, and he's a great guy. He's a very, very helpful guy. He's not only helpful in his videos, but just in person as well. He's helped me a lot, and you could say I'm his biggest fan. I have been following him for quite some time, and so happy that I'm able to enjoy DCS while living in an apartment where space is limited and funds are limited and unable to really have the sim rig that I want. I could have a stick and throttle. I could easily afford a stick and throttle, but the problem is I'm a snob. So I'm the kind of guy who wants like a full F-16 stick and throttle and heads-up display screens and a whole sim rig chassis, and like I want the whole full experience. I either want all or nothing, and maybe that's a stupid way to look at it, but that's how I look at it. I would prefer to fly on a controller for another year or two until I can afford a full-fledged hardcore sim setup. And like I said, if you've ever flown in a competitive scenario, as you see, I'm engaging somebody right here. I think I'm going to put him on the edge of our radar here. Oh, and we lost lock. So that missile might sputter out. He's actually going to turn away from us. He's running away, so we're going to disengage. That was kind of a wasted missile. No reason to chase him into a bunch of SAM sites. Those are not our concern right now. Our concern is that SA-19 that you see up ahead on the right display there. It is the base that we chose as our target for this mission. Several ground targets there, including a SAM site, and we'll see what else is there once we get a little closer. So what we need to do here is switch to air to ground. We've got our HAD, we've got our HARMs armed and ready to go. Still a little ways out. It's kind of a long flight we chose to go all the way to this base, but I thought this would kind of get us away from some of the air-to-air conflict. Like I said, I don't really care much to do air-to-air on a 4YA server and an F-16 just because it's too easy to dominate with the F-16. I'm too experienced of a pilot to really be challenged. You see the enemy base over there, the red smoke. I'm too experienced to, and it would be crappy of me to get in an F-16, get on a 4YA server and go get 20 kills and show off on YouTube, oh look at me, I'm getting a kill with every missile. Well, that's because the AI is turned down. It's mostly older aircraft that are at a disadvantage to the F-16. I mean, I kill to defend myself in air-to-air when I'm practicing air-to-ground. Now the air-to-ground I enjoy because air-to-ground is hard on any server. Granted, it's harder on some servers, but it's it's hard just the same on a 4YA server because they will still shoot you out of the sky, and you know, anti-air, it's not as hardcore as, like, I fly on Coliseum mostly, and Coliseum the anti-air is extremely aggressive and lethal, and their coverage ranges are set to a little more realistic of a standard. So like an SA-15 actually has a wide range, whereas on some of these other, like 4YA and some of these other servers, you can fly into the edge of their perimeter and they won't even fire on you. If you're on Coliseum, where I normally fly, and you fly into the range of any of those SAM sites, you are going to die. Like, it's going to be bad. You're going to be toast. So you see, I can't make up my mind here. I'm switching back and forth, trying to find targets in the T-pod. Couldn't find anything. Making sure we're off of burner still. Slowing down a little bit as we approach our target here. And I have been goofing around and not paying attention, looking at the T-pod screen, and I have let two aircraft get right up on me from behind. Now, if this was Coliseum, we would be dead. There would be no escaping this. You can see on the right HSD screen there are two enemy aircraft right on our 5 o'clock. So we're going to pull a kind of a desperate maneuver here. We're going to swing around and engage these guys the best we can. Going into full burn. Okay, we're going to take the second one. First one is kind of moving out of our line of sight here. Trying to get it to lock on, but it will not lock. Alright, he is slightly to our right. He is only 3.2 miles away, so that is a really easy kill. You see the missile make contact there. F-18 down. And we are going to swing around immediately. And this other aircraft, for whatever reason, he is not engaging us. He actually turned and just kept going in the direction he was going. And that put him 9 miles away. And he is a sitting duck. So we are going to fire on him at 8.8 miles. That missile is already active. He's making a pretty extreme maneuver to avoid the missile. You see, we just got a fuel warning because we're on full burn this entire time. And that is a kill. Mirage 2000. So we got an F-18 and an M2K. Got them both. We gotta come off this throttle and conserve some fuel. We want to get a little bit of air to ground in before we have to RTB. Okay, we're gonna switch to air to ground. We're gonna quickly, if we can do this without getting ourselves killed, we're gonna quickly switch to that SA-19. PGM-2 means we are good to fire, and our HARM missile is gonna pull a hard left turn and go back to that SAM site. Look at the beautiful visuals on that. You can see the site there and see the missile making its way there, and you can see contact there. Actually, we've got a Tunguska and a Scud missile that we killed with that shot. We're very low on fuel. Back off the throttle a little bit more here. Try to conserve what we've got left. If you've watched any of my DCS content, you know that it is not a successful mission unless you return to base safely. And we are very low on fuel, so we're going to try to get 1 or 2 more passes at this base here. Take out as many targets as we can, and then we're going to try to sneak our way back to base. We have I don't think we have any AIM-120s left, so we cannot defend ourselves at all in air to air, which could be a death sentence. That might be a good reason why we are not going to make it. So that SA-19, the radar signature is still up, so we're going to fire a second HARM missile at that radar signature, try to finish it off. I saw where it hit. I thought it said where we got a kill as well, but the signature is still up, so I'm not really sure if there's a second radar. I don't really know how an SA-19 works, so I'm a little bit ignorant of some of the systems and some of the weapons systems that you fight in DCS. So you see okay, so we just got a hit. Oh my god, we just got a huge hit with that HARM missile. This was pre-recorded. That was confirmed 15 kills with 1 HARM missile. A lot of ground troops. Apparently when the first missile hit, everybody ran over to the SAM site to help out, and the second missile took everybody down. So it was 15 kills with that second HARM missile right there. And so now you can see I'm struggling. This is where I don't really know what I'm doing yet. You can see the target is to my left a little bit. You can see it right there. You see the smoke from all the explosions. I'm struggling with this T-pod. Trying to get a grasp of how to use this thing. I've got it set to white hot, so targets should show up as white, lit up like a heat vision. You can see some targets there. Okay, we got a target locked. And there goes our... Dropped one bomb. Second target locked. Although I think we're over the target now. Second bomb... Not sure that that second bomb actually dropped. Let's check our... Yeah, we only dropped one bomb. So the second one didn't release. I think we were too close over the target to even get a hit out of that first one that did drop. How much fuel do we have left? Because we have been out of fuel for a while, and we still got a pretty long flight to the nearest air base. You see there's a bunch of Scud missiles just sitting there ripe for the picking. If I just knew how to use this targeting pod correctly, like someone who was an advanced level air-to-ground pilot in an F-16 would be. They now have no anti-air defenses. So there's some things that I haven't explained. When you're using the targeting pod, which I am trying my darndest to do, so that's one of the Scud missiles right there. So you see on the right side where the altitude is on the heads-up display, that little bar with the arrow pointing to the right and the arrows above the bar. You have to wait until that arrow is inside the bar on the right. So that's what I'm waiting for to drop this bomb. So you wait, kind of adjust your flight trajectory till it's within that. Now it's within the bar. So that bomb is dropped. So that's one Scud missile locked and dropped. And then we got a second one. It's in locked and dropped. Third one, trying to lock it up. Locked and dropped. We're right over the target right now. See if... And that is a confirmed hit. Good hit. One Scud missile down. That's a second hit. The other bomb hit as well. And a third one. So 3 Scud missiles destroyed. And we are now out of weaponry. We have launched our HARMs. We have dropped all of our bombs. We are extremely low on fuel. And we're flying in the wrong direction. You see we're using the map a lot here. That's what happens when you're not an ace pilot. You use the map to your advantage when you can. So we're gonna try to limp our way back to base. Not a ton of fuel left. But even though the F-16 is certainly not the most fuel efficient, actually the fuel mileage, you see there's nothing on that wing. We have no weaponry on our left wing. And I believe it's the same on the right. We might have one AIM 120 left. I'm not sure. So if we get in a desperate situation where we have to defend ourselves, we might be able to fire one missile just to get us out of a jam. You see a JF-17 just popped up on our RWR to the left there, but he is pretty far out. He's not on our screen on the right. And we are just going to hope he doesn't want trouble, because the JF-17 is one of the toughest aircraft on this server. and we can't really get into a fight because we've got no fuel and no weapons. Yeah, that JF-17 is far away. Okay, so we should be safe to RTB. Just got to keep an eye on our speed, try to maintain. Basically, it's a game of how fast can you go while using the least amount of fuel possible. We've got our throttle back pretty far. We're going to go ahead and throttle all the way back. Check our fuel one more time. We've got 700 pounds of fuel left. And I know, looking at the map, that doesn't look like it's that far, but it is pretty far. This is a huge map. This is only part of the map of Syria, but this is a huge map, so that's a pretty long flight still. So we're throttled completely back all the way down to idle, and we are diving to maintain speed because we have to come down to land anyway, so we might as well use that to... There's a closer look at the fuel gauge. We're about to 600 pounds. And we're only using one tank. We have a centerline tank. The amount of damage that we were able to do with those HARM missiles and with the JDAMs, and even taking out the 2 air-to-air, you know, we were full burn the entire time we were engaging those 2 jets. Yeah, there we go. We do have 120 left, which is actually a good thing. But, you know, we used quite a bit of fuel engaging those 2 jets, and I'm certainly not the most conservative with how I take off. I take off full burn all the way up to 30,000, 32,000, level off, and then come off the throttle. But that's a long time to be on full afterburner. Uses a lot of fuel. So the fact that we were able to complete all this, all the ground kills we got, 2 air-to-air kills, it's pretty impressive for a jet that is considered to be kind of a poor, it has poor fuel mileage, I guess is the way to put it, or whatever. You can run 2 tanks, hell, you can run 3 tanks if you want to, but you can run 2 tanks, but that limits your payload. Personally, I would rather be careful with fuel and have situations like this where you're, you know, kind of limping back to an airfield on low fuel. If you manage it well, manage your speed well and your throttle low, you can make it back to base with some pretty low fuel amounts. And still have a successful mission. Like I've said many times, it's not a successful mission unless you make it back to base safely and rearm and go do it all again. Even if you don't rearm, even if you're getting off for the day after that successful flight, I still, if I have time and if I can, I always try to RTB. That's part of the immersion for me is, you know, your mission's not over until you make it home safe. So so we got a couple of JDAM kills there. Figuring it out a little bit. Definitely not good with the T-Pod yet. It's definitely made a lot easier by the fact that we're on a server that has all of the targets on the map, so you can see where they are, so you kind of have a general idea of where they would be when you're looking with the T-Pod. Now you do have the ability to get the GPS coordinates for your targets and then enter those GPS coordinates into the targeting system for the F-16, and then you don't have to blindly look around for hot targets with the T-Pod, because it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. I've flown on some servers with the T-Pod that don't have the enemies marked on the map and stuff like that, and it is extremely hard to find targets because you don't really know where they are, and the maps are massive, and the amount of territory you can see while looking through the T-Pod is enormous. See, I'm trying to get a visual on this airfield, but I think it's still a little too far away. We're only going 205 knots, so we're just keeping it in the air, conserving as much fuel as possible. You can see the jet does not like flying this slow. It's kind of all over the place and very floaty, very uncomfortable at this low speed. I mean, these jets are not really meant for flying this slow, except for when you're landing or taking off. Otherwise, they're designed to go really, really fast. So you can see how far away we really were when we decided to return to base. We were pretty far from this base. But you can also see that you can stretch not very much fuel really far if you're careful. We're down to I think about 400 pounds of fuel, and keeping the throttle as low as possible, trying to keep our speed just enough to be able to fly, but conserving as much fuel as we can. See, the airfield looks like it's a little bit to our left. We're going to try to adjust our line here. We should be able to see it now. It's got to be right here somewhere. Once again, just trying to keep it in the air. Only going about 215 knots. Just trying to get a visual on this airfield. down to 300 pounds of fuel. This is going to be closer than it would want to be. You would want it to be. And for you people who are thinking about getting into DCS, this is not good tactics, especially if this were a multiplayer server, where you're not against AI, but you're actually against other pilots. You would not be able to cruise this slow for this long. There's just no way. Somebody would come along and pick you off. I mean, if somebody were anywhere around us right now, we'd be a sitting duck. We don't even have enough fuel to turn and engage. We're on fumes. We do have 120, so I guess we could turn towards them and fire a desperation shot, trying to take them down with us. Okay, so there's the airfield. So there it is. Visual confirmation. There she is. It's one of the smaller airfields. No problem. That's what we're going to go ahead and do. So we're going to lower our landing gear, which is going to slow us down even more. We're going to go into a dive. So we're throttled all the way back at idle, but our speed is coming down really fast, so we're going to have to throttle back up just a little bit. Just a little bit of throttle. Don't want to fall out of the sky quite yet. Try to come in throttle all the way back again. Try to come in nice and easy. Coming in a little bit hot. Pull up, try not to hit too hard. Still managed to set it down pretty hard. I'm going to apply the brakes. It's a pretty hard set down, and usually smoother than that. And judging by the way the jet feels right now, yes, and now we're out of control. That means we have almost certainly damaged our landing gear. It's not every day you see a power slide in an F-16. But we landed it. Put it down a little too hard. Then it damaged the landing gear. Like I said, this was recorded at an earlier time. And I did in fact damage the landing gear on the right side, which is why it slid around to the left, because the right side was off. Now what happened is I landed it, rearmed, refueled, went and killed some more targets, a couple of air-to-air targets and some ground targets, but my gear was damaged, so the right wheel never fully retracted. So I did a whole bunch of engagements without even realizing that that my gear wasn't even fully retracted. So really appreciate you guys watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you're enjoying the videos that I put out. Please like and subscribe, comment, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks a lot.